Avengers Endgame or
Uh,
Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Ooh, okay, okay, all right. I was surprised by that. Okay, all right.
That Black Panther, like,
Yeah, okay, all right. I'll give you that. All right. Deadpool and Wolverine or The Dark Knight Rises.
man, these are hard.
Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I'm, of course, your host, the beloved, the most charismatic man in entertainment. Beat that, the winner, Rod Johnson. I hope everybody's having a great day, great week. I'm looking forward to this conversation. You know, I've had Costa not hit me up, Mr. Beast, Kevin Hart just DM me, Chris Hemsworth, you know, who stole a role for me, but we'll get to that another episode. But you know, everybody's hitting me up to come on the podcast. But I said, wait, you gotta wait your turn because I'm looking forward to this conversation with my next guest. You know, he is a man who doesn't need an introduction, but that's not how we do it on this show. We give a proper welcome introduction. So, who am I interviewing today? Well, no need to fear because I have that information for you. So, my guest today, author of the international bestseller Acne Free in 3 Days with over 1 million copies sold, popular YouTuber, holistic health coach, certified esthetician, skincare expert of Chris Gibson Live with over 500,000 subscribers. That's right, you heard that right. He has been seen across various TV and media platforms such as NBC, Fox, CBS, ABC Family, and meeting celebrities such as George Foreman, and the list goes on and on. This man is making his name. He has made his name, and he's only going further in life. And you know, with over 40 years of experience in this field, I'm really looking forward to this conversation with my guest, Chris Gibson. Welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely, you know, almost 37 years of experience in this, but let's back it up a little bit because you know on your website, your journey, your YouTube channel, people can find this out. But you talked about how you got into your profession, and it started with, if I'm not mistaken, you battled severe cystic acne.
Mhm.
If I botched that, I apologize. But can you just briefly go back to that point because that was the starting point for everything that you stand for and what you work for. So just talk a little bit about how you dealt with that and how that led into such a long, successful career.
Well, my issues with my skin started really early. I was like 11. So, you know, anybody who's had any skin condition, rosacea, psoriasis, eczema, acne, it can really press on your self confidence and your self image. And then there's the thing with acne that you have scarring. So because that had happened in my family, I went to a dermatologist really early. So I started getting skincare foundation at 11 years old. That's pretty young to be learning that. Unfortunately for me, like a lot of people, it didn't go away when I got into my adulthood, into my 20s. So you can imagine, quite frustrated, taking every drug, including the newer ones like Accutane, only continue to have the problem. So I looked outside of the medical professional for answers, or the medical profession for answers, and this is in the 80s. So there's no internet. You had to read. You had to go to the library and read books, and you had to go to the herbal store, which we didn't have vitamin shops and GNCs or any of that stuff was not a thing. So typically those stores were in some dilapidated shopping center at the very end, with occult stuff. So you had incense and occult books, new age books, and herbs and teas and what have you. But that's what I learned in a nutshell, was that by changing my diet and taking care of my gut health, which again was not a big thing back then, people in that environment knew about that, but doctors weren't even talking to you about that. But having taken antibiotics for skin since I was 11, you can imagine, we know now what that does to your gut health. So my problems with acne in adulthood were all tied to my diet, all tied to being out of balance in my digestive tract. And so I addressed all those issues. The acne went away and never came back. So that's what was the premise of the book. The book's not a how-to book, it's a what happened book. And so a lot of people recognized that situation in their own lives or their children's lives. Parents were having the same issues. So the book became really popular because it was talking about things that were not, like there wasn't even Activia yogurt yet. There was none of that. They weren't talking about all of that. And while the book was out and it was focused on skincare, that discovery of superbugs started to happen in the early 2000s, like MRSA and all of those things, and tying it back to overuse of antibiotics. So good timing, I guess, universal timing. I was already on TV talking about that where it related to skin. So it sort of like just took off and became a big thing. So I was already in skincare really early. Professionally, I didn't decide to do it until, like it was in my 20s. When I discovered the diet thing, I really started teaching that to people in my family first. I wanted to know what I did to clear that up because, genetically you can be predisposed to have oilier skin, smaller pores, things that lead to a higher risk of having acne breakouts and scarring. So that's how that all got started. And I learned a whole lot. The book did really well. I was all over, as you read, that particular chapter of my life before I jumped into YouTube. But yeah, so it helps people. And that was the give back. And I did live in the corporate world. I also had a regular job at the time. And I left that all behind to focus on this, what I do now. So, and now that I'm older, it's anti-aging and how to deal with sun damage, still the acne stuff in there and still holistic approaches, but I've formulated several skincare lines too. So I know a lot about ingredients. So we talk a lot about that on the channel and what works and what doesn't, and how to know what's in the stuff you're putting on your skin. So all of that now is just sort of evolved.
Right. Yeah, I want to jump around too much because there's a couple things I want to ask you about, get your opinions on. But before we get to that, I want to ask you something because I remember when I was in high school, it probably started around 9th, 10th grade. I remember I had a lot of acne on my face and a lot of blackheads, face, neck, and I used to pop them, scratch them. And I went to the doctor one time and they told me to go to dermatologist. My mom decided, you know what? At this time, Proactive was like taking over every commercial you could see on TV.
Yes.
So we got it. And I feel like it did work to some degree. I think it was also, like you said, diet, because I'm not going to lie. I'm a big cheesecake guy. In high school, I had a very unbalanced diet. I ate a lot of sweets. I used to buy the Enderman's cheesecake they used to sell. Yeah. I used to eat a whole box of them on my way home to work. So I know my diet wasn't the greatest thing. But how important is diet? Because I do think a lot of people, like we hear often about our health reasons about diet, but about skincare, it does play a big part. The more sugar you eat, the more pimples you're likely to get. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, how did you discover that diet is so much more important than when we think about in terms of skincare?
Well, the connection was made again when I was in the beginning of all of this, because I went on a fast. So I pretty much didn't eat anything. I had apples for fiber and water for 3 days. And so the book name came about. And for the first time since I was 11, by the 3rd day, the breakouts were gone. The red marks that get left behind were gone. All the inflammation was gone. So diet and high sugar diets, it's typical teen. College, I lived on Snicker bars because I worked overnights and went to school during the day. So my diet was kind of crazy as well. But once I took everything out of it and it went away, then I put things back in little by little. Sugar was a problem for me, which made sense now because we know that when your gut health is off, the sugar is not treated quite the same. We know about insulin resistance and diabetes, of course, and all of those things. But when it comes to skincare, too much sugar in the blood, it actually burns the outer layers of skin cells. The molecules do when you have too much. So we call it glycation. And so what happens is those cells become weaker. there's more inflammation. Inflammation turns on your immune system. That's your immune system trying to address things. So you're much more likely to have a rosacea, psoriasis, or eczema flare up or an acne breakout when that inflammation is present. So diet makes a big deal. So anti-inflammatory diet, nothing new, lots of leafy greens, lots of vegetables, low amounts of sugar or no sugar. I pretty much don't. Sugar for me is just a once in a blue moon thing. Like I don't have sweets. I use stevia instead. Fortunately, things have evolved where you don't have to lean on chemically based artificial sweeteners that we know aren't good for you as well. So diet is huge. I mean, it's you've got to make sure that the nutrients are available because your skin is always replacing itself. In fact, all your cells in your body are replacing themselves. And when you're short on something, like we know vitamin K, vitamin D3 and K2 is a big problem for a lot of people, not just women, and how calcium is handled in the body. If you don't have those nutrients coming in, either through a supplement or through your diet, then you're going to produce weaker and weaker cells.
Right.
For anything, weaker organ cell, whatever it is, it's going to tax your system. So, people live longer now, somewhat healthier lives. They have the ability to do that. And every time you look at those super agers, diet has played a huge role. That doesn't mean there's not the one-off. I have the great-great-grandmother who lived to 109 and she chewed tobacco. So, there's that. That stuff does happen. But in general, you want to set yourself up to feel good. It's really about feel. I like to think about feeling good. Right. So I look great for my age, but I feel good most of the time. So it's like all of that diet plays. It's a huge key role. Good from the inside out is kind of how you have to go.
Absolutely. Now I want to ask you this because you host a very popular YouTube channel, Chris Gibson Live, and it's something that it's a phenomenon when it comes to skincare, health, beauty. You don't see a lot of guys in that field. Right. For you, when you started the YouTube channel, did you give pushback? Did people make jokes about your sexuality and stuff because you were doing skincare?
No, it was a really slow burn because the growth was a slow burn because I had a following already from the acne stuff. So people would research me. The age has been the biggest issue by far. That's what people that find me, like I had a video go viral today that happens occasionally, and suddenly you're in front of a lot of people who haven't seen you before. And so the age thing comes up. You can't be 61. No way you're 61. You're lying or you've had some work done. So it's always really been more about that. I'm really fortunate on YouTube. I don't get a lot of trolls. I have a thick skin from the days with the book because, that was very controversial. What I was saying was it's diet related and the medical community was still trying to push all these same treatments on people. Right. So I even went on back then. They had the Fox News where they brought the doctor on and you sort of had to battle back and forth so I even did that. So I had more pushback on the book and what I was talking about then. Now it's all common knowledge. You need to have probiotics in your diet. You need to cut down, it's very common now, but it wasn't then. So mostly it's about age. I mean, there's always somebody who will come on there and go, who's this clown? But I have that following, right? And I think it's funny. They take care of it. My viewers will take care of anything like that. Before I ever get to it, it's like, okay, whatever. And if there's somebody way out there, there's a great tool on YouTube that a lot of people don't know about. You can block a person without them knowing they're blocked. So that person may make a really rude comment, or I don't like when they fight. They try to attack people who've commented. That really gets under my skin. If somebody's commented and someone doesn't like what they said, and there's a hold of that, I will block that. But they don't know they're blocked. They just suddenly know no one's commenting on their comment anymore. So when they see their comment, unless you delete the comment. But a lot of times I just hide them from the channel and let them be in their own troll world.
People can't help themselves.
Living their best angry life. Like, it's a skincare channel. It's not that big a deal. It's like that we're not building homes or ending wars or anything like that. We're just helping people learn about skincare. So I find it funny when that gets under anybody's skin. I'm like, why are you here?
Right.
Why are you here?
Yeah, it's fascinating because being an actor, right? I've worked with a lot of makeup artists over the years, and it's definitely something that oftentimes it slipped my mind, but it happens often. Like when they do a makeup, they'll point out imperfections and stuff. And luckily, so far, probably because I'm still young, they often say, "Oh, you have nice skin. You take care of yourself." And I always pride myself on taking care of that because, especially you, me, other people who might be in front of the camera, you have to take care of your parents, right? But now we're getting to the point. Now we're seeing a lot of celebrities. Now we have influencers like Claviker who are pushing it to the extreme. They're taking it as far, spending multi millions of dollars to achieve a certain look.
Right.
What is your opinion on that? This growing phenomenon on people, whether it's Botox or certain secret serums and stuff like that. Do you think that people are taking it too far, or do you
Well,
think?
yeah, go ahead.
No,
I
no, no.
think,
What's your opinion on
well,
all of that?
I think yes. I think that some people do it. Look, if you're doing something for yourself because you want to look better, that's fine. But if it's in order to impress, convince, or influence someone else to do something similar, that's where I think it's a problem. Um, you know, Botox, I don't do any of that stuff. I'm not against people doing that. I just try to teach the consequences because there are consequences to everything you do. So if you're going to get a facelift, wait as possibly long as you can because you can't have one. You don't want that stretched out look we see on people. If you start getting them too early, there's only so much stretching and pulling,
Right.
even deep planing that they can do. So if you're going to wait till you're in your 60s or even 70 and you want to get a facelift or a neck lift, I think that's great. It's going to improve your appearance and you're still going to look like you. You know what I mean? But when you've had one at 40 and then another one at 50, and now we've got to put filler in here, and it starts to get where the person may look okay, but they don't even look like they used to look. I won't name any celebrities,
But
but
no, sorry.
they just don't look like them.
Right.
Uh, so it can be a problem like anything. It can be addiction. Some people are addicted to plastic surgery and they'll admit it. And we've had many celebrities come and say I was addicted to that. Because it makes them even more hyper aware of their what their perceived imperfections are. Because
Right.
body dysmorphia is a real thing, um, and people can take anything too far.
Right. Yeah, I think, you know, when it comes to entertainment, we definitely see this more often, and we see, not so much on the men's side. We see a lot of women talk about it, especially as they get older, where they feel this pressure to look a certain way to, to compete with the young talent that's coming up. Now you got guys like Claviger who, no disrespect to him, I don't know what his idea or thought is about doing all of this, but we're seeing people taking this and becoming influencers in that space. Do you think that's harmful? Because we have a
Well,
lot of people watching him.
I think you have to do it with responsibility. It's like the age thing for me. The age thing is definitely selling me right now because I don't look my age, right?
Right.
So, but I don't want it to become about that. I want it to become about the information and health and wellness and taking care of yourself and feeling as possibly good when you're going to look as possibly good as you can. When you're doing it as a way to I guess build a following, and you're influencing people that one don't have the money to do what you did.
Yeah.
That stuff's expensive, so you're just compounding stress. That doesn't mean that if you like, there are celebrities that went and had things done and they look great and they did it for them and they say that I'm not trying to get anybody to do anything. I did this because I wanted to look better. Um, that's a big different. That's a different story you're telling than I don't know why people want to. We go through these fads where people want the big butts, they want the big lips, and then that goes away, and then well, now you're stuck with all that.
Right.
So I think I try to keep in line. I don't even like the word anti-aging. I like pro-aging better, and we're getting better in that industry of using those words as pro-aging rather than anti-aging. Um, you just have to be mindful of your audience and what you're teaching. I would never want to put anything out that's harmful. TikTok drives me nuts. Um, I'm on there, uh, and some of my stuff has done really well. But for a while there, I thought, I if I see something really egregious on TikTok, I will say something about it. I'll say, don't do that. Don't put lemon juice all over your skin. Don't squeeze a lemon and put that and mix it with anything. There was one. You took lemon juice and mixed it with baking soda, both very caustic products, and together super caustic for your skin. So I just saw a comment where someone was touting that as a treatment on my video in the comment section, and I said, as a trained professional, I cannot support this. You know, I cannot support you doing that because whilst lemon juice might not bother everybody's skin, it's going to bother somebody's.
Right.
And it's not the same as a vitamin C serum. The vitamin C serum has citrus. Clearly, it has L-ascorbic acid in it, but it's buffered and supported by other ingredients so it doesn't burn the skin. So that kind of stuff makes me crazy, where people just make stuff up.
Right.
That's nuts.
Yeah, social media is giving a lot of people information, whether it's good or bad, and I think that's just unfortunately it comes with the territory. But I want to ask you something. This might sound stupid to you, but I do think this is an important question because oftentimes people go to the doctor. Now we have places like Teledoc where
Right.
people want they need help with their skin or something. You go to a doctor thinking they can prescribe you something to help you. They refer you to a dermatologist, and people are shocked that sometimes they have to pay higher costs for it, or that their deductible or whatever is a lot more expensive. Maybe you are the best person I can ask this. Why is it that dermatology is separate from doctors, and why is it that the expense to have a dermatologist is more than a regular primary care doctor?
Because it's highly specialized. Skin Individuals' skin can be so different. Like no one thing works for everybody, no matter what the product is. Or is it, even Botox doesn't work for some people. They get it and they don't see any difference. So it's so highly specialized. The disease structure or layer of for skin is much higher and deeper. Um, and it's still a new science. It's constantly evolving. I mean, now we have red light therapies. They had that in sports medicine forever, but now we have it in the home. You can buy red light therapy devices, and they do work. You can have in-home laser treatments. But so it's like within doctors, there's chiropractor, like a chiropractor, highly specialized, like a
Right.
pulmonary doctor, highly specialized. While they have the general, so your dermatologist has a general working medical knowledge, just like a doctor, but they're just very highly specialized. They stay on top of new treatments, and they follow what's happening with diseases. And oftentimes they can pinpoint something much faster when the skin is telling the story than a medical doctor is trained to do. So, and because it's specialized, it costs more. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. But a lot of people don't understand that. That's why I wanted to ask you that question because I do think in the era of social media when you have so many different opinions and viewpoints and influencers and YouTube channels about this, it gets confusing. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
actually something I want to ask you about because outside from Clavicle, because I've brought him up a couple times, he's not the only one. There's a lot of people who are influencers or YouTubers in your space. Do you find it hard sometimes? And maybe because you have a successful channel and it doesn't impact you as much now, but at some point during your journey, did you find it hard to have to, be able to be a voice of reasoning from a professional standpoint, while also battling the other voices in the space that maybe are not giving the correct advice to people?
yeah. It can be like that. I generally get along with everybody. I mean, there are some peers I have that are clearly have bigger audiences than I do, but we all run into the same thing. It gets hard, especially when one is saying one thing and the other one is saying something different. That's very
Yeah.
confusing. So that's very frustrating. But I think, that goes, like you said, it kind of goes with the territory. I generally don't jump in and critique that, even if I may not agree with what that person said, that dermatologist may have said. Um, it's a fine line. I'm not a dermatologist, so I'm not a medical doctor. Do I have a lot of similar knowledge? I do, but I can only apply to someone what I know. And many times I'll get questions that are really for a dermatologist, and I say that. I answered two today on the channel in the comments that said you really should go see your dermatologist about that issue. But in the old days with the book, people would send all sorts of stuff to me in the email, like things I didn't need to see, type of things. So that's gotten better. But we actually had hired someone to check my email first and not send me the gross things that this is more Dr. Pimple Popper and all that stuff. Now it's everywhere. I'm like, I don't need to see that. So yeah, I think I try to stay in my lane. And I think that authenticity and people trust me because I don't go outside of that. I think that builds trust. When people are looking at comments and someone asks me something, I go, that's not my area of expertise. You should go see your doctor. I think that builds trust that I'm not throwing just anything out to be the expert. The person who's an expert about their skin is the one living in it. They know when something is not right. You do. When a spot doesn't look right, or you're having any kind of issue, rashes, whatever the issue, super dry skin, adult acne breakouts. So suddenly you're having issues you didn't have before. I can answer questions of that to a certain degree, but in the end, I wish people stayed in their lane. It's really aggravating to your point, to your question, it's very aggravating when someone is giving medical advice and they're not a doctor.
Yes.
It's dangerous. And, we all have these insurances now, like errors and omissions, and that does protect you, which in a way, it's less protection for the person listening because there's really no consequence. A person can always just say, well, they just took that the wrong way.
Right.
So I'm always very careful. I get asked a question similar to that all the time, because now people are getting onto bigger platforms. If I were to go on Netflix and produce content for them, I would expect, that's a large audience, and I would expect to keep some sort of creative control because you don't want someone misunderstanding what you said and running out and doing something harmful.
Right.
So I think you're going to see that soon. You're going to see more of the larger, I don't like the word influencers, but larger people, larger followings starting to happen where these networks are starting to look at, should we have content creators on Netflix? Because YouTube is becoming a TV thing.
It is. Yep.
Yeah. So it's on, just like there's Netflix now, YouTube has movies, right? So yeah, that was a really good question, because there's a lot of extra question marks around that. It just sort of creates more. It's like when you start to think about it, I can clean up something really easy with 500,000 followers. That sounds like a lot. It is, but when 23 million see something, something can get away from you really quick. So I think you have to stay in your lane.
But let me ask you about that, staying in your lane, because I do think for some people, you mentioned it clearly. You know what you're here for, your expertise. Stay in that lane. I do think now in 2026, with so many opportunities to make money, people are finding ways to kind of use their platforms to delve into other things, right? Just for an example, I'm a workout enthusiast, but all of a sudden now I know the perfect protein supplement to create and sell people, right? And I want to ask you this because I do think it ties to the question I asked you before. You often tell people sometimes, hey, ask your dermatologist about this question. But we are seeing more and more people using YouTube and watching people, influencers, learning information, because unfortunately, a lot of people may not have the financial means or their insurance to go to these places, right? So they look at someone like you. They go to your channel and say, "Oh, he's talking about this. He's talking about pro aging. I can use this information. I don't have a dermatologist or I have the money to see one, but you know what? Let me follow his advice. It's no different than it's different, but it's the same as watching a guy who works at Burger who fixes car on the side, watching his YouTube channel thing. You can fix your own car. It's different, but in your sense, do you think that even though you're not doing it intentionally, but having the platform, people are looking at you as, oh yeah, I need to take his advice. Let me run with this because this can help. Do you find that often happening as well?
Yeah, it does. And so, that's exactly what I was talking about. It's just I try to stay as in my area of expertise as possible and tell people that I'm not going to just sell something
Right.
to you. Like, in fact, most of my videos, I do a lot of product reviews, and there's no point in me getting on there with a product that didn't work. I'm not going to bash the brand. I'm not going to do unless it creates some harm. Sometimes I talk about sunscreens. That's a whole thing. But I I try to make sure people understand not everything works for everybody. So it may not be the answer. I think most people that are reliable do that. YouTube's tried to like do badges so that, especially when it's medical advice, that that's a doctor's channel. But even
Right.
for them, I mean, no one wants to. You shouldn't be prescribing medicine from a video.
Yeah.
That's an in-person consultation needs to happen because you can misinterpret anything. um, you know, and now we've got, chat GPT, we've got all this new AI stuff, and people are finding out that, just like always, it's only as good as the stuff people put in. you know, so it's people are finding out real quick. That doesn't necessarily work that well for beauty and skincare because, again, everybody's skin is different. Until we're to a point where your genetics can be read and predicted and all of that, it's just another way to get advice, and you need to like check it out. Like, I'm big about putting studies in my. If I mention a study, I'll put the link so people can go read it.
Right.
So I try to head some of that stuff off. But you're right. There are people either out of fear, they don't want to hear, they've got something that they don't hope they don't have, so they try to go around it a different way. Or I call that putting the happy sticker on the empty gas tank thing.
Yeah.
Not opening the checkbook, which no one has checkbooks anymore. But that old thing about, oh, I don't ever look at what I have because if I did, I'd have a heart attack. So I just go until the thing says no, and then I know I'm
Yeah.
out of money. So I try not to be a catalyst for that. And sometimes I get like, I don't think I've gotten bashed by any other YouTuber. There is a Reddit on my age. It's a whole Reddit dedicated to that. That's just
Right.
hilarious. If you ever want to be entertained, go and read that whole thing. Vampires are real, y'all.
Yeah. With
Quote,
living
unquote.
proof.
Vampires are real. The guy's a vampire.
You're right. Little Edward Cullen.
I don't understand. Brian Johnson takes his son's plasma, and he doesn't look as good as Chris, and Chris is older. How is that working? It's a whole thing. But yeah, I just want to teach, and then people go and learn. They have to take a degree of responsibility, and that's what keeps me sane. At the end of the day, the end user it's really on them. You can look up anything you want to believe, whether it's true or not, and find evidence now. Manufactured, most of it, but
Right.
evidence to whatever you're saying
Yeah.
or whatever you're thinking. It's what drives all these conspiracy theories is now people can create stuff that looks real, and we've seen how that all works out. So, at the end of the day, you have to rely on the end user to some degree. And I'm fortunate my channel has built over time. I've had viral videos, but I didn't have that video that took me from 0 to 3 million subscribers in 6 months. I didn't have that experience. So mine's been a slow burn. As I said, people come in, they learn, they come back, they tell their family or friends about that, they save videos. And that group has grown over time. So they're very engaged. And so I'm very fortunate that I had to work free for a long time. That's all I gotta say. I work free for a while, but in the end, influencers have a right to earn money, to suggest things and to make money and to have links and to make money because it's their time they're being paid for. But what I think you don't have a right to do is just pick something that's beneficial to you monetarily that might be sketchy for a human or might hurt somebody or delay them getting the treatment or care they need. That's a problem.
Right.
That's a big problem. Took me a while to get there, but I got there. It took me a while to get there, but I got there.
Yeah, I mean it is a big problem, but I think like with everything, and I've talked about this at length for the 6 years I've been doing this, interviewing people. It's it's unfortunate. I do think though people get stuck in this matrix, if you will, about making money, and it's all about making a dollar. How can I benefit, use this platform to grow and make extra money, and that's why we often see so many people infiltrate fitness, health and beauty, food, everything, because everybody sees they can see on social media, oh, this person has low self-esteem. This person look like they will pay anything for a quick fix. And so they're able to diagnose certain people and think, okay, well, I know people there's a market for this. I can make as much money as I can. But I want to ask you, like I said, it sounds like a silly question. But how do you avoid that pit trap? Because it's easy for you to say, I'm certified. I have a best-selling book. I have this platform. I can go this route I've been doing that. I've built the channel up and continue to be the professional, or I can still be a professional, but also lean into, what, I could just sell people all types of information, make a boatload of money, and worry about myself. Like, how do you avoid doing that, especially when you get to have a successful career, YouTube channel, and all that stuff?
Well, for me, it's still kind of the staying in the lane. I have a skincare line, and I have just released supplements, but they're things that I take.
Right.
So, or the things that I use, or ingredients that I use. So, that's called integrity. I don't think there's anything wrong if someone's passionate about food and they've gotten to a certain level of expertise and knowledge, because the experience counts for something. It does. Obviously, I've been to people that have degrees that no, so that doesn't always help you either. But if you stay in that, whatever there's food, that's a good one. Then in my mind, what you do is, if you're serious about helping people and growing yourself and your career, then you go and get certified as a nutritionist.
Right.
You learn, you get that credential, you get that credibility, you learn the other things you need to know to be helpful. You, just like in skincare, you need to know what ingredients do. Like
Right.
when you're doing these videos, I mean, you could theoretically get up there and just slather something on, but I'm not a makeup artist, so it's a little bit different. And even with makeup artists, there are those that are really good makeup artists that have the ability, and then there are those that get on there and say they're one, and it's kind of like, right? that
Yeah.
we have people who are famous who can't sing without auto tune. I'm not going to name any names.
Good.
There are some famous singers who cannot sing. Period.
I got one name already. I'll tell you that.
There are three in my head right now. So, and if you've ever been to their concerts, you know that. Does that make them any less entertaining because they're auto-tuned? No. I mean, they put on a great show and you enjoy yourself. And then you go to your local establishment or live music and someone opens they've got pipes for days. And you're like, how are you not famous? Sometimes they go, that's never something I wanted. I just love to sing.
Right.
And they have their following. They're not on, whatever. And then as I said, the flip side, you've got people who don't have maybe a natural talent, but have gone and learned how to make that work for themselves because they wanted to be a singer. And they're good as long as they're not singing live. It's like, it's like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, those people had to learn something. There's skill sets you have to learn. And I think what you're talking about is people just jump on and say whatever to sell a product. I always worry because, if you endorse something and it ends up burning somebody's house down, somebody's going to come talk to you about that. Like, you better have one in your house and you better be using it.
Right.
Because somebody's gonna go, well, your house didn't burn down. Oh, you don't have one. You just read about it. Like, so yeah. But I do think that's beginning to become, people know that. I think that's becoming a thing where those folks fall out of favor really quick. with their followings. That's where you see hear the disasters where they lost 1 million people in one day, like whatever.
Right.
I just like prefer the slow, steady growth because I learn something from the folks that follow me. Sometimes they'll ask me something, I'm like, I've never heard of that. And I'll have to go look it up. And then I go read studies about it, and then I learn something. I add it to my knowledge. But I'm not going to sit there and do a video on that subject. Because I'm not
Right.
trained in that. I'm not a trained professional in that area. So
Yeah. So talking about some of the things you do, you talked about pro aging, right? I think there's a big shift in the aging process because at one point I feel like it was natural to get older and it was a symbol to have the gray hair, the wrinkles and stuff. Now, people calling people unk at 35, because they're showing a couple wrinkles or they're going bald or whatever. And I think we're seeing this now.
yeah,
I think for
30-year-old cougar.
it's nuts. It's crazy.
35-year-old daddy. I'm like, what is that?
It's crazy. And
So
I
yeah,
think I think for regular citizens, people, it's not so much of a big talking point. But I think what has made it such a big talking point, social media.
oh yeah,
We're seeing celebrities. We're seeing so many people. I don't want to name names, but I got to throw this one out there. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's Madonna. I mean, it's people are going crazy trying to, do certain things to look younger. And unfortunately, a lot of times, some people it doesn't work. Some people look worse off than others. But we're seeing the shift now where people don't feel pride in being older anymore. They're trying to recapture the youth. You're 61, right?
yeah.
I thought you was in your late 30s, maybe early
It
40s.
says it
But
right here on the shirt. Seasoned.
season. And I know you take great pride in that, to be, at that age and people still think you're younger, it is a badge of honor in a sense. But now I think there's a big shift from it being a badge of honor to now, I want to compete with the young people. And do you think that's a big problem right now going on? Or do you think it's just examples of certain people who take it too far and then it's being blown
Yeah,
out?
I think it's examples of people who take it too far. It's a lot of work to feel good and be healthy and make those choices. And you know, there isn't anything there isn't any product or exercise or anything that's going to give you instant 25 years off. Makeup, a concealer, that may be, but it's the general sense of taking care of yourself. And a lot of people have, there are a lot of people in their 30s that have done the drugs and the alcohol and the late nights their whole lives. My parents, we were in the house till didn't live there anymore.
Right.
You came home. You are on your own. So, the first time I walked into a drinking establishment, I was 28 years old. It's the first time I went to any kind of a bar, nightclub, or anything like that. I was 28. So, I was busy with 2 jobs trying to buy a house. So I'm a little bit weird when it comes to that. And that's before this stuff. But, it's sad because every season has its season. Every
Yeah.
season has its benefits, and they can be lost if you're locked into your youth. Like when I was younger, I couldn't wait to get older because I knew there were good things ahead. So 30s were good, 40s were good, 50s were a little iffy because parents pass away and you go through some bigger changes and your mindset changes. But I have never chased. I think one of the reasons I look the way I do is because I've just been very disciplined, but I don't chase that. I don't look like I did at 40, but I didn't look 40 at 40. I looked probably 20s, 30s. I used to freak TV producers out. I knew that was a thing, but I always have said that's just a function of taking care of yourself.
Right.
Maybe some genetics involved in that, but I mean, we all have stuff. I have some lines and wrinkles, and cameras help, lights help. I don't use filters clearly, but when I'm out on the street, people say I look younger there than I do on camera. So it's funny. It's an anomaly. We've played games with it. How low can you go as a game we've played? Like we'll go to like the state fair, for instance, and there'll be the person that's giving away something if they guess your age within a 5 or 7 or even 10-year, whatever that slot is. They always come get me for that. Come on, let's see. I want to win that big bear. Come on, let's see. I'll go there. How old do you think he is? And they'll go, 35. Now it's usually 35 or 40. It used to be like 28, 30. When I was,
Right.
and they're wrong. Of course, the person knows they're going to get the prize. So then I flip out my license and they go, no frickin' way. And they begrudgingly give up the gift. They give it up. So it's like, and I made jokes when I was 50. I said, if I don't look a lot older when I get to 60, they're really going to start to question things when I go to like check the IDs. But I hang out with younger people. I do not like people my age, mostly. They're grumpy. Not all of them. I have a fair amount of people that are my age. Just some friends a little bit older, but they're on the go like me.
Right.
Like they're involved in their lives or their kids' lives, or they're very active humans. This sitting around in retirement watching the TV is probably, I hope you don't have, I'll probably get some mail over this, but anyway, an email of this. That's not, no. They're not fun. They're not fun. So if I fight against anything, if I have an animus towards anything, it is being sedentary. Do I feel like getting on Peloton some days? Absolutely not. But I know that if I don't stay mobile, I know what that means later. So to that degree, yes, I do, I do allow time to like inflict some reality on me. But the reality is happy, healthy, dead. That's what I want. I don't be hooked up to machines. I don't want to be slowing down. Right. I just can't even fathom. And anything can happen to anyone, anytime. And your health is everything, because that's usually what happens to people. So I'm very mindful. And I have friends that are in their 30s and 40s with diabetes. They've got a toe cut off already. And I'm like,
yeah.
And all they had to do was change their diet or quit drinking as much. All they had to do is make some changes, and people are very reluctant to do that.
Yeah.
Humans are very much creatures of habit, even when it's not good for them.
You're not wrong. Yeah. People are. Yeah. It's hard because I think when you fall in a pattern or your knowledge isn't extended. Luckily, I've been able to, meet a lot of older gentlemen, especially college, early 20 years, that often told me, make sure you stretch before you work out. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. Because at some point, like you said, it catches up to you. And speaking of catching up, do you think there's ever a time for anybody to start or stop to start skincare? Because it seems to me, a lot of people, they give up. Oh, I'm at this age. I don't want to. It's too late. It don't mean nothing now to start because I'm not going to see any difference. And I'm not saying everybody does that. There's always
there are people like that. You're right. They've accepted their fate that they created. By the way, they just created that fate, but they've accepted that, and that's fine. I have people of every age watching my stuff. Is it better to start earlier? Of course it is. Is it too late? Never too late. To take care of yourself? No, never. Take care of your skin? Never. I've got a fair amount of humans that have started wearing sunscreen for the first time in their lives, and they're in their 40s and 50s. Now, some of that they had a skin cancer problem, so doctor said you got to wear sunscreen from now on. Just do it. But we have technologies that can just about, there are creams now that can reverse sun damage on the skin. They're prescription level, but you can get them. We've got red light therapies, laser therapies, non-invasive things that can help you feel and look better I don't think anybody that's I don't want to be 20. I don't want to look 20. That would be odd. So, to say the least. But um, yeah, it's never too late to start. It's just never too late to do something. It's never too late to exercise. It's never too late to take the crap out of your diet. It's never too late to drink more water. That's if I have one vice, it's Diet Coke. And so I
Coke
have
Zero.
a
Coke
Coke Zero.
Zero.
That's what I have, Coke Zero. And I have to mind myself, okay, I need to make sure I'm drinking water. And I treat that as a treat, not as my drink that I drink all the time. So, because, I would like my kidneys to last. Doesn't do you any good to look good in a coffin,
Yeah.
because you didn't take care of something else. So I fall off the wagon occasionally with the Diet Coke. I'll look in there and I'll gone through a 2 liter, and 2 days ago, that's a lot of Diet Coke. That's a lot of Coke Zero. A lot. I need to make sure I drink water all day tomorrow, and I don't drink that, or tea, because tea has a lot of benefits to you. So I'm not going to not live life. And I tell people, do not do stuff that's going to make you feel like you're in jail all the time. That's not living either. So have some cake, have the martini, whatever, the espresso, the Cosmo. Just don't have 3 of them every day for the rest of your life. That's just you got to balance stuff out.
Right.
Because I get that question a lot. What can I change? And I'm like, as much as you will change and be comfortable. Yeah. Again, I had a great grandmother who lived a long time that chewed and spit tobacco. Was 109 years old when she passed, could still see and hear. So it happens. It's a roll of the dice,
Right.
So personally, I want to be up and again moving around. I don't ever want to be like in a nursing home, not able to function. Again, anything can happen to anybody anytime.
Right.
Bodies are strange. They do strange things. So there's that. But I'm going to give myself the best shot. And the big thing is there's a legacy now of work that's going to outlive anything I could have done in a book because it's on YouTube. It's
Right.
it's what was it, 1,700 videos now. I can't believe it's that many.
Wow.
I remember when I was at 10 going, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to get to 100 subscribers ever. It's not going to happen. But there's a body of work now where I've stated my case that's there forever. It's evergreen. Now, they may not be looking at it 100 years from now, but I'm contributing. Everyone is, whether you do something like this or how you raise your kids or what you do in you're contributing to the fabric of what's coming.
Right.
Just by being here. So because I have a bigger space for that, I try to be very mindful of the information. And if something changes, I have to go back and do a new video that says, okay, now the science is saying this. Now we've learned this. So the corrections have to be made. You just keep going forward. So if something is, and then I will go back and tag that video in another video, the older one, so that reference is there.
Right. You said something key. You don't want life to feel like a jail. And I think that's so important because this is what you're going to feel like during this next segment, Chris. So, oftentimes in life, we get put in choices and we have to make choices. And this time, Chris, is your time to make that choice. So we're going to be doing the hot seat. And this goes to why I asked you before off camera, what is your interest? Because now you have to choose between 2 choices I give you. Simple fun. It's no gotcha, not to get you in trouble, nothing. This is just pure fun.
Not going to get a bunch of email, am I?
oh, yeah, it's coming. Depending on how you choose, it's coming.
I can't believe you said that.
So this is how the game goes. So we're doing superhero movies. And so I'm going to give you 2 choices. And you just choose one. You don't have to give a long, elaborate explanation. You could give a short response if you want to why you chose one. But you could just choose, and we'll just keep moving on. We'll do this for a couple rounds. Are you ready to do this?
Sure.
All right.
Throw it out.
Let's start off with the OGs. All right.
Okay.
We got Blade 2 or Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah. Watchmen or Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern?
Ooh, that's hard. I think this is because I'm so old school. Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
Ryan Reynolds. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about
Watchmen's good though. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Watchmen is good. I'll give you that.
Go ahead.
All right. The Wolverine
Oh no.
or
Okay.
the Dark Knight?
You're evil. You know what though? Dark Knight.
Okay.
That surprise you?
Hey, this for you. I'm not putting my 2 cents in. Off camera, I will. I want no email.
Why did you pick that? All right.
All right. How about this? Captain America: Civil War or Thor: The Dark World?
Okay, one of those I didn't see. So say them again.
Captain America: Civil War or
Yeah,
Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah, I would have to go with Captain America.
Captain
To be
America.
fair, yeah.
All right. How about this? Spider-Man: No Way Home or The Amazing Spider-Man 2?
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah.
And Guardians of the Galaxy
Oh, I knew this one was coming.
or the new Fantastic Four?
Okay, I love the old Fantastic Four. That's like one of my favorite movies ever. So the new Fantastic Four. I'm starting to sweat.
I knew if I gave you
sweat.
if I give you the if I give you the original one and the new one, I think it would be a fairly easy one. So I said, let me.
Yeah.
Black Adam or Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel, I guess.
Captain Marvel. All right, this one's gonna be interesting because you could go either one. Avengers Endgame or Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Ooh, okay, all right. I was surprised by that. Okay, all right.
That Black Panther, like,
Yeah. Okay, all right. I'll give you that. All right. Deadpool and Wolverine or The Dark Knight Rises?
man, these are hard. I feel like I'm stabbing one when I don't pick it. The Dark Knight Rises.
X-Men Origins Wolverine or I'll make it easy. X-Men Origins Wolverine or X-Men First Class?
Like, if I don't pick something with Wolverine in it, I'm gonna get stabbed. No pun intended, right?
No pun intended.
Wolverine.
We're going to take this back just a little bit. Iron Man 3 or Man of Steel?
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Justice League or Avengers Age of Ultron?
Say them again.
Okay, Justice
I'm trying to
League.
remember because I'm trying to make sure I saw that I have a reference. So say it again.
Justice League, Zack Snyder's version, or Avengers Age of Ultron?
Avengers.
Avengers. Let's do the original Fantastic Four.
Okay, you already know that's one of my favorites.
The original. That is the GOAT. The original Fantastic Four,
Yes.
or the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton?
Fantastic Four.
The Marvels or Venom: The Last Dance?
The first one was the Marvels, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Marvels.
X-Men: Apocalypse or Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
The Black Widow
Oh boy.
or Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
I see that. So what was the first one?
I think it
Black
was
Widow. Right?
Black Widow.
Okay, Black Widow.
Doctor Strange or
Oh,
Logan?
Doctor Strange.
Shang-Chi or Wonder Woman? Yeah, I'll do the first Wonder Woman.
The first one.
2017.
Wonder Woman.
Suicide Squad or
Oh,
Deadpool?
that's not fair. That's not fair. Suicide Squad.
Hellboy
Oh, that's
or
another
Hancock?
one. Oh, Hellboy! I love that movie. It's so
Hellboy
over
is
the.
a
It's
classic.
so over the top. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's good. We watched that not too long ago. It's so bad. It's good. Every time I see it, I'm like, God, it's just bad. Acting is bad. The special effects are terrible, but it's funny.
Rob Perlman was the best Hellboy by far, though. I'll give him that.
Yes.
All right. Let's do Black Panther 2. I gotta make this one hard for you. All right, Black Panther 2 or Avengers Infinity Wars?
I didn't see either one of these, so I'm just picking based on what I like. Black Panther 2. Hey, at least I'm honest. I'm like, didn't see those.
All right, I gotta give you this one. This be the final one right here because
Okay.
you're either gonna choose one or the other.
Okay.
This fan base. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the first one, or Tom Holland's first Spider-Man, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Tobey Maguire.
Oh, you survived the hot seat. Well, so far.
I'm gonna get mail from this. I mean, emails from this.
I had to set
You
you
didn't
up.
like that. You don't like that story. You don't like that one. You don't like the hero.
This will be going on Instagram, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I've been told.
Well, Chris, what do you got going on? I know you're a busy man. You have a lot of stuff to do, but what do you have going on? What do you have coming up that you want to share with people?
Well, that's interesting. I'm going to be doing lives for the first time ever on the channel, Q&As. It's something we haven't done. Going to be announcing that pretty soon. So at least once a month, I'll have a live stream where people can come on and ask me things live time. Should be very interesting. I will have a moderator for sure. But yeah, I think that's a big step. I'm ready to start doing that. I do some one-on-ones still. I have an online community, so a few times a month I do one-on-ones for people in their skincare routines. But this is a way for me to be able to reach more people at once. It'll be a set time and date, and I think it's going to be a huge gain for everyone. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. And then people get to see me like this live time,
right?
And go, "Oh, he really does look like that." It's the whole thing, that influencer that she was using some kind of filter. I don't know how she did that. That made her look way different than she really looked. I'm like, I don't know what filter does that, but okay. And they were not happy. And she didn't tell him she was using a filter either. You know, it's not like I'm using a filter or she didn't have fun with it. There's what I look like with the filter, not the filter, because it wouldn't have been nearly the big deal.
Right.
But because she was an influencer, you know that word I hate, because she was giving advice, beauty advice, and makeup advice, and she didn't look anything like because of the filter. I don't know if she forgot to put it on. I forget what happened. Something happened. But they say if it's a lie, you will get caught.
And she
Forgot to turn the filter on. I'm like, that's a problem.
right.
So, there again, nothing wrong with filters. You just need to tell people you're using one. I tell people all the time, I look good. I have to have lights or you can't see me on the camera. So the lights do make me look better, clearly so. I mean, I'm lit up, but at least when people see me real time, they either say, oh, you really do look like that, or you look better actually in person than you do on camera, which I'm like, I do. That's a problem. So, but I'm not there to be a beauty influencer. I'm here to help you with skincare. So all that stuff I get about you should shave your beard. You look so much younger. Why do you wear hats? Or why do you wear a bandana? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, go get your own channel.
Right.
Because I'm going to do me. I'm doing me. I'm giving you advice, skincare advice. I'm not here to look pretty or make you look pretty. That's not my job, So you can never win on that treadmill.
Yeah.
So, just can't.
I think some people don't know the difference, so they just kind of blur it all together, and it's just at the end of the day, all you can do is do what you're doing, because there's people out there who are listening to you, following you, and they're learning a lot more than people who are going to criticize. That's just
and they come back, and I'm lucky they come back on the videos and say that more and more. I have people that have been following me for a while, and they're like, are very happy with where they're at with their skin, and they'll take the time to say that, which is really nice.
Right.
People are more likely to leave a negative comment. I don't get many, fortunately, but when they're super engaged and they come back and tell me that, my favorite is the living room game. Guesses how old do you think that guy is? My business partner did that at a dinner party that I wasn't at. He goes, oh, we played the guess Chris Gibson's age because they didn't know who you were. And I said, how do you think this guy is? And not even close. They weren't even close. And I'm like, well, who got what? Was there a prize for this? I mean, should I be getting a cut? Said like, should I be getting the royalties for this? So anyway.
Chris, this was a conversation that going in, I was very open-minded, and you have been very knowledgeable on. I learned a lot of stuff. I'm sure a lot of people who are maybe they know you already, or maybe the first time hearing you. I think you shed a light on a lot of things that sometimes we gloss over as society, because we put a lot of things to the back burner and we forget about the most important thing, which is taking care of ourselves. And that's what I try to promote: positivity, positive mindsets, and people like you come on and help me do that by sharing your wisdom, your story, and your passion. And I think if anybody takes away anything from this, it's the fact that Chris is not only a great guy, but he thinks Tobey Maguire is better than Tom Holland. So with that being said,
I'm gonna get so much email on that. So much, because there are some real Tom Holland junkies out there.
Yeah,
I know a few. So they're going to be, what? Well, anyway, it is what it is. I'm allowed to like who I like.
Well, Chris.
And eventually there'll be another Spider-Man, and then we'll have 3 we'll have to talk about.
Yeah, it's
Batman. Kinda, just like Batman. They're going to be like 4 or 5 of them before it's all over.
It's kind of crazy that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, which I just rewatched both of them, they were actually decent movies, but he gets forgotten about like that. Like nobody ever brings him up.
I think part of it is the star factor. If someone gets into a movie, then they become more well known afterwards, and they look, and those guys look great, both of them. They have very different. One's the nerdy-ish. Tobey Maguire's kind of I would say the more softer looking one. and he played that very well. And then Tom Holland, of course, is just athletic, and you can just tell the different type of personalities that they have even in the acting. So that's going to appeal to different people, you know.
Yeah, it is, but I also think too, unfortunately, Andrew Garfield to come off to go do Spider-Man not that long after Tobey Maguire's was done.
And it just gets kind of like in the dustbin of history.
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I forgot about it till you brought it up. I had to go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's not good. That's not good for him. It's not good. He's going to have to get out there and stir up some drama.
I feel bad for him.
Spill something on somebody, dent a car, say something and get in trouble, and get almost canceled, and then everybody be talking about your movie. They'll be written that off Prime. You start getting checks. You start getting checks again. Hey, where are we getting all these checks from all of a sudden?
All right.
Oh yeah, I made a boo boo out there, and so everybody's talking about me.
Right.
Kind of how it works. It's sad, but it's kind of how it works.
And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But you know what? He said, you know what? He's still getting work. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters. He's still working. He's still making. He still has a blossoming career. So shout out to Andrew Garfield.
Yes.
And shout out to you, Chris. You know, it's Friday. I think we both want to enjoy the weekend. Well, I got to go call Tom Cruise back because he got my private jet. But anyway, all seriousness, thank you, Chris, for coming on. It was a great conversation. Like I often say, a helping hand is a better hand, and it's not just a slogan, it's a way of life. And people like Chris makes this podcast what it is: fun, entertaining, engaging, but also a learning experience for everybody out there. So, Chris, any final words before we go drink some beers like we're Stone Cold Steve Austin?
I always tell people, just take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Put you number one first. My health is first.
Right.
And then everything will flow from there.